But this is what we come into problems nowadays in the church. How come we have so many people in the world and then Christians are getting less and less? Because we have a very high expectations for people to come in the church. Oh, they should be perfect. They have a halo. They have a pair of wings, And that's what they think about us, and that's what we expected others, especially pastors and pastors' wives. Even the cats and dogs should be more holy, right? But what about Jesus? What about God? How does he look at us? And I'm going to bring you the PowerPoint. Is the PowerPoint ready? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. And so the story we're talking about is a story of stones. I think everyone heard about this story many, many times. But so I'm not talking about the. I'm just straight away, to tell you the story. Next. PowerPoint. Next page, please. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So in the morning, when we, Jesus was like preaching, telling people stories, and then suddenly someone else stormed in, with a woman, just committed adultery, right? Yeah. And then, so these people, next page, they tell Jesus, okay, of our law, what should we do? We stone her to death. Is that right? Yeah, next page, please. Next page, please. Yeah, okay. But Jesus didn't say anything, and he just kneeled down on the floor and then just, drawing something with his fingers. But theologically, a lot of people, they guessed, what he was doing, but we don't know, right? Because the Bible never say anything. Yeah, okay, so next page, please. Okay. And he was just playing his fingers. And in these days, what do? We just praying with our phones, right? Yeah. Playing with time. And especially in the matter of life and death. Now, okay, we change a little bit of subjects, and then stones. What do we use stone in the Bible? Okay? We look at it, memorials, making descendants for Abraham, changing stone into food. The stone, that the builders reject, became the cornerstone, the foundation of a building. Wow, that's positive. But we also have a negative, ways to use stone to stone Jesus, to stone our prophets, to murder them. All right? Yeah. Oh, next one. So these guys became impatient and kept rushing Jesus. Yeah. And then Jesus said, okay, which one of you do not sin? And then you can pick up the first stones. And then he knelt down, and then to do it again. Just press once. Oh, how come the PowerPoint's like that? Okay. My point is, Jesus was giving them time. Anything happen in the church, we just make the decision so quickly. Right? I was just talking to pastors. Nowadays, everyone say, oh, we follow the Bible. But when something happened in the church, we follow the church rules. Right? And then, but there's many church rules, traditional church rules, they're not of the Bibles. The elders don't even know where they come from, right? But you are so there to change them. So this is why I said to pastor, I said, well, yeah, we need churches like this. Yeah, new church, to get out of the traditional ways, right? Of course, some traditional church, I see them, they're very good, they do their best, to do God's way, but not their own ways, right? But what I'm trying to say is, God's finger is there. Every time when something happened, we should spend time for God. And he allows us. He's waiting for us. But we just make our own decisions all the time. Yeah. All right. So anyway, those people keep asking them, and then he said, okay, pick up the stones. Whoever, if you don't sin, any one of you, and someone else, those Pharisees and those people, they just thought, oh, I went for prostitutes last night. Oh, I cheated someone else last night. Oh, I disrespect my parents last night, or whenever. And each one of them went away. All right? Yeah, one by one. Oh, next page. Okay, I would like to ask you a question, right? Each one of you, you can raise your hand once, right? And then all the people at that moment, right? We have the congregation, the woman who committed adultery, and the Pharisees, right? Well, which of them you think are the most benefit from the whole event? The congregation, wow, we've seen the good show, right? Great. They come in and then the woman, committed adultery. Now she doesn't need to die. Wow. Right? I was going to stone to death, And then, so the Pharisees, or which one of you? So if you think, the congregations got the most benefit, then you can raise your hand. Anyone? No? Yeah. Okay, it's the woman. She doesn't need to die. Right? Okay, we got some in here, right? The Pharisees? No. Going back to the Pharisees. Okay, yeah. Well, I think they all benefits. But personally, I think at that point, actually the Pharisees, they are most benefit. Because in that moment, they are like the sons of hell. These people, they trying to accuse Jesus. They try to kill that woman. We've never seen the man. We've only seen the woman. Right? But because they reflect, because they repent, and because Jesus was drawing on the floor and gives them time to think, and they've been lifted from hell. All those people going to be a murderer. All right? Yeah. And, okay, next one. Yeah. Today, we have a lot of laws. When I go to the seminary, they said, law and gospels. They don't talk about grace anymore. All right? Law. Yeah. But I want to ask you, can law destroy your desire? A lot of things we cannot do. And we still do it. Right? Yeah. Okay. Next page. We need refreshing. And that is something to do, we repented. Oh, if we don't even know our sins, how can we repent? So we need to think about it all the time. Nowadays, we read the Bible, and well, of course, we use the phone and things like that. But, if we have a Bible, we don't read the Bible like this anymore. We read the Bible like that, or you look at it. We don't look at it ourselves. We're pointing and think, oh, you. Because if you've been good boys and good girls, I'll be safe in the church. Right? So I can do anything I want. Yeah. Next page. Why we doing that? Why God touches us? Because He gives us grace. The church is not only for good people. I often tell people, people in the church are not good people. A bunch of sinners and bad people wants to be good, learning to be good. So we come in here, and God accepted us. This is what we call grace. Amen. Now, because of God's grace, today you look at me, I'm here, right? And tell you a little story of mine. This was me, and when I was young, and it looks quite handsome, actually, yeah. And but I was born in a very healthy family background. My father was a jeweler. I mean, he has shops in America, in Hong Kong, and in Peninsula, in Hong Kong Hotel. Well, if you own a shop there, you're not only a rich man. You got to be respectable. And then but my father has at that moment had 2 wives. I'm of a second wife, right? Common-law wife. But anyway, and I don't feel any love in the family. We have money all the time. Anything we just talk about money. And by the time of 15, right? Next page. And I love school, but I don't love studying. That's why I was still in the primary school at the age of 15. Because I repeat it all the time, right? And then my father said to me, okay. By the time of 17 years old, the triads, the nightclubs, smoking, drinking, everything I've been done it because I never short of money, right? And then my father said, okay, I don't like your life here, so I deport you to England, and I hope you have a better life. Well, I have, but not in the way he was thinking, And then so within a year. May I have a next PowerPoint? Within a year, and I committed. In 1981, I was committed murder, burglary, and arson. And in 1982, I was sentenced to life imprisonment in England. Actually, I was in England 16 years and spent 15 in prison. And then this is the prison. Okay, stop there, right? And so this is kind of prison life. And as an Asian, people would tell you, okay, just be good in prison, right? You'll be all right. You get out quickly, And well, then I spent a few years there, and I thought, well, it doesn't look right, How come all these good boys, and they kind of seems to spend more time in prison, and now all those bad boys, they move to a better prison, and then people more respect them, And then just stop there, right? Stop there, yeah. Okay. And then, so I said to myself, okay, I just be myself. And in prison, they have a little chapel. They have Catholics and Christians, Methodists, and whatever. Right? A little chapel shared by many denominations. And pastor came to see me, and I said, no, right? So he wasn't interested with me anyway. So he thought, oh, this bad boy. But he was so good. He asked a Chinese pastor to come to me and then gave me a Chinese Bible because at that time I couldn't speak English, very bad, And then one day, right, I was so boring. I picked up that Bible, but before that, I'm never interested because in the library, they have 300 Chinese books there. But for 3 years, I was so boring. I read every single book of them. Any different kind of story, kung fu and detective. And even, love stories. I have to read them. Every one of them I read about 2-3 times, right? And then, but there was only 2 books I didn't read. One was the Bible. The other one was Chamomo's Little Red Book. All right, 2 of them. Actually, I turned the pages and I didn't. But one day, I was so boring. Nobody preached to me. Even they come to me, I wouldn't listen, right? But God's way is, wow. Nobody comes to me, but He came. The Bible there, full of dust. The Bible looking at me, and I was looking at the Bible, and then we keep staring at each other. And at the end, I pick up the Bible. And I start reading it. Wow, holy book, how do you read it? I read it like a story, and then, so read it like a book from the first page. Oh, yeah, wow, Adam and Eve, I know them, I heard of them because I was in a Christian, college, And then, so, wow, come to King David, but once it comes to Jesus, and I kind of a wonder, and I thought, well, you're like someone else died, you're dead man, and then people worship you, you become a god, I got plenty of them in like China, and I don't need to go to, Jerusalem to worship you, you know what I mean? It's, but I believe there's a God at that time, and I feel so guilty, of what I did. I killed a young girl, for money, but in prison, right? Every guys walk about, roughy, toughy, you would not tell people, oh, I'm so guilty. Oh, wow, you don't say things like that. And, but inside, I was so guilty. Sometimes I had a nightmare, bad dream. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I swore on myself, right? Saying bad language to myself. And then another night, I had a dream, about myself, and I hit myself, hit someone else so hard. And the next morning, I woke up, there was blood everywhere on my bed. It was my blood. And because I hit the bed, and I broke my hands, the blood spilled everywhere, And then, so it's so crazy, And it's so painful inside, all right, And I tell you, prison sentence, doesn't punish you. And that is when someone repented. Know what actually you did. Well, that really hurts, I'm telling you. So anyway, I said to God, okay, I'm a scumbag. I do not worth to go to heaven in any way. I said, but I'm going to make a deal with you because King David made a deal with you. Everyone made a deal with you. I'm going to make a deal with you today. And I said, if I'm going to do things in a Christian way, right? I follow you. I follow Christ, But you let Elaine, the girl I killed, to go to heaven. And I just do the way, But of course, this is the wrong way, But I started it that way, right? And then, start going to the church, the pastors look at me and they thought, wow, And, but when you come to God, like a brother just early on, he said, is that everything straight? Everything's good? No. Because of an old man, someone else tried to bully him. I said something about that, and then at the end, I got stabbed in the back, right? And I was in the hospital, and I was so bitter. I was holding, half a cup of water, and I couldn't even hold it, because the doctor said to me, oh, you're very lucky. 0.5 millimeters to towards the middle, you will be paralyzed the rest of your life, And I looked at the ceiling. I said to God, well, so what's the point? I'm going to be a good person. Everyone trying to bully me. So I said to God, from today's onward, I'm not going to be a good man. I'm going to fight like King David. If they're going to hit me once, I'm going to kick them 10 times. Right? See, all my faith are wrong from the beginning. And so I didn't go to Rule 43's protection or anything. I go back there to the wing, because I find, physical is not the most painful things. It's here. So the guy who stabbed me, the guys who using the guy who stabbed me, and all those who involved, I follow them everywhere. And I make sure they see me. And they thought, wow, what's he doing? And they scared. They worried. But I couldn't even pick up a cup of water. Right? So I'm just like a shadow of death following them. And then I went to the gym, pick up a gym, and do weightliftings, fitness. And then later on, I discovered something. Wow, you don't need to be like, King David or whoever, big and good fighter, or Bruce Lee, you don't need to be that. There's something called drugs, can control people. And then I start picking up drugs with my friends, and we start doing drug dealing in prison, But I thought myself, well, you bunch of idiots, You have drugs inside, and you smoke it all. Every time we have to rely on our friends, our families. So I said to them, okay, let's do business, right? And to cut it short, in 1992, I was still, nobody outside, but inside the prison, me and my 2 other partners, actually, as it happened, one of them is Indian. The other is a British, 3 of us, And I tell you, at that moment, we were the richest guy in prison. And honestly, now, I'm not telling you all this because, tell you how great I was. I just want to tell you all this to tell you what kind of person I was, and God switched it around, right? And so, one evening, I think it was in 1992, and I was sleeping on the bed. I was so regretted. I knew what I was doing. I go to church and then come out, selling drugs. And now, we don't just like, selling on the street, in prison, because people, they bring in 1 ounce, 2 ounces of, cannabis, but we brought in half a kilo at a time. Okay, 1 kilo is 2.2 pounds. 1 pound is 16 ounces. 1 ounce, the trade price at that moment is 200 pounds, right? And so I was kind of a wholesale dealer. Yeah. So at that moment, right? That evening, I was feeling so bad because I knew it's wrong. But when you have money, when you have drugs, you have power. People they don't bully you anymore. They just come to you nicely. Wow, that feeling's good, right? It's better than having drugs. And you don't need to be a good fighter. If someone else, upset you, and all you need to do is stop selling. So everybody in the prison, they're biting their fingers. They say, what's happened? He upset me. So everyone going to beat him up. And then, market open again, start selling again. So prison is like that. And then, so that evening, I tell you, I have everything. Whole bed, under my bed, all tin food, canned food. I never short of food. And I got telephone cards. I got hundreds of them. I got tobaccos, hundreds of ounces. Never mind about drugs. And even you cannot keep cash in prison. Now I'm talking about 1992, and I have more than 1,000 pound cash in hands all the time. And also I have some jewelries. I asked my father, bring me some stuff, and so I can corrupt the staff. And that's how you hold your business. You see. Now, and also, when 3 of us, any one of us having birthday, we got brandy, vodka, anything. Honestly, I'm telling you, you can never dream of, but you think, if you spend, if you live like that in prison, you think, wow, must be very happy. I tell you, no, there's something missing. That evening, I couldn't even cry. Right? And I was feeling so bad, so guilty, there's something missing there. I got everything, but something missing there. Right? So, anyway, but when you, in prison, people teaching you bad things, there are people teaching you good things, Now, everywhere I go, I introduce these couples, right? PowerPoint, please. PowerPoint, next page. Yeah, okay, stop there, right? That guy there is me. That was in 1994, I think. 1995, Look at him. Who's look more handsome? Yeah, do you know how old I am? Next month, 56. So, if you come to Jesus, girls, you don't need SK2. Yeah. Yeah. And so, this couple, she's an organist of a Catholic church, and then because at that moment, I go to every service. I don't care what it is, anything to do with God and Jesus, I go. And then I met her there, and all my life is money, no love. And God so loved the world. I don't know what love is. And then, so this couple, they treated me like their own son. I call them grandmom, granddad because they are 40, 50 years older than me, And then, so, I thought, I'm not English. And I'm not yours. And then, wow, you treated me so well. And then, so if that is God, His love must be greater. And then, but as I said that, and start studying in prison and open university and all these things, and start learning a Bible, and I still doing my drugs business at the same time, and then come into one point in 1994. If you meet me, now I tell you, God spent a lot of things on me. People, many Christians comes to me, from outside, inside, to try to help me. But I always say to people, the whole world can help you. If you do not help yourself, well, the answer is zero. That's what you get. And because God, apart from grace, He gives us free will, right? And then so, if you meet me in 1994, and you will think, wow, this guy, you're finished. Right? You call yourself a Christian, nowhere near, grace. But God is like that. When everyone give up on you, when no one ever thinks, that can be happened, and He turns my life around. In 1994, what happened? I went to another prison, right? And this prison is one of the worst prisons in England. Right? I'm talking about prison. And then you go into canteen, you buy your stuff, and then when you finish shopping, outside there will be someone waiting for you to rob you. Right? In prison. Rob you in prison. We're all criminals. Right? So, well, that's the kind of place you go to. Right? And then, so, wherever you go, you have weapons, you take your knife, keys, even the cup, you protect yourself. And I was only been there for a week, right? And I met that guy who used somebody else to stab me. But I thought to myself, okay, I'm a businessman. I am doing a big trade. I'm not going to counting on this, this worth nothing. So I went to him. I said, okay, we're friends now. I said, forget about the past, And I said, if you want, I'll look after you. I'll give you business, anything, all right? But for some reason, he was scared. I don't know, And because the next day, my friends from other prison, we know each other, And they came to me. And they said, well, look, Peter, I just got the message, And 2 guys is going to do you tomorrow. It's going to kill you. Right? So I know straight away who sent them. And he's my friend Ali. Oh, he's an Indian. He was an Indian as well. And so we have so many business together. And then so he said to me, okay, don't worry. Me and my guys will sort it out for you. I said, no, thank you. I said, brother, let me do it myself because I want to prove it. Because that moment I was so angry. I was so evil, because I thought to myself, okay, I want to show you what kind of guy I am now. I am not the kid 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And I want to leave a message to everybody. That night, I was so angry. I was sharpening my knife, my hobby's knife. And I thought, wow, he's quite big. About size like pastor, maybe a little bit taller. And then so I thought, well, what happened if I, couldn't kill you with one knife? Okay, so I look around, I got a metal spoon. So I turn around the spoon and I sharp it. And I thought, well, it's a pretty small spoon, And I thought, okay, I got a tin opener. So I pick up the old style tin opener with wine opener, right? And then I sharped it. And then I look around, I got a music stand because I used to play music in the church, And I thought the old type, they got a sharp leg, thin leg, and I pick up. And virtually that evening, I sharp anything I can get my hands on it. You're going to die like a buffalo tomorrow. And can you imagine? Wow, I was so evil, so angry. And the next morning, can you imagine how many hours I sleep that night? So the next morning, but no matter how evil I was, I have a habit. At that time, every night, I read the Bible. I don't read just a few verses. I read chapters. In 1994, from 83 to 94, I read the Bible in English and Chinese version, like a book, 6 times. And I read, New Testament alone, Old Testament alone, many times. But I'm still that old me, And then, and I have habit to pray every night, every morning. I kneel down. So that morning, I started praying. Now, this is exactly how I pray. And I said to God, God, I'm very angry now. I said, the guy is dead later. I said, but I believe in you. If you can solve this problem without seeing blood, then I leave it to you, or he's going to see you later. Amen. It's a bit loony, isn't it? Well, that's kind of guy I was. I mean, so I went. So because you pray to God, right? You give them a bit of faith. And I put down my knife and tin openers and everything. But because you go into prison like this, you don't. I always have a bunch of keys and a cup in my hands. So okay. So I leave it. Everything, and I go to lock my door and to go out. And wow. Here you are, this man just walked past me. It's like a Disney cartoons, just furious, from my toes, I forget about God and forget about anything, I just want to kill him. So by the time I chased him, and we were I was going to do it, in the stairs, but now, everyone's there. Prison officers there. And then I looked at him and I thought myself, well, if you're not going to die, then I will. I might be. I'm facing your guys later, but so you're going to die first. And I have a cup in my hands, and at that moment, my intention was, I'm going to use that cup, to crack it in his face, and I make a lot of scar in his face, and make a mess of it. I want the whole world to see, don't mess with Peter Shen. That's how evil I was, right? But I thank God that I didn't mess his face, but I broke his head. I wasn't. I'm not thank God for breaking his head, but And then and they took me to Chucky's, these punishment rooms, and they think, well, this guy is crazy. You right in front of prison officers, principal officers, and you dare to do things like that. But I'll tell you the secret. I'm not that crazy. Because if I'm doing him on the stairs, he can do me, right? He's a big guy, But if I do him in front of a prison officers, by the time, I hit him and then they would grab him. And he couldn't do anything. I just, Kids, don't follow. Yeah. And so, I went to the Chucky's, Now, believe me, I can take drugs, because, believing or not, there was a prison officer. He hated that guy so much, and he came to me and said, look, Peter, you done me a favor. You tell me who can surprise you drugs in here. I'm going to get anything you want, anything. So for some reason, I didn't want anything. I just thought, thank you, And 10 days, I was in the punishment block, And the first day, I feel so bad. I spent 12 years in prison, right? I didn't think, the judge recommended me 6 to 8 years, but I was, 12 years. And I thought, how come I spent so much time in prison? I wasn't a bad guy. I wasn't doing drugs. I'm just money exchange. And I'm helping the prison officers, to have discipline in prison, so everybody's happy. They don't have troubles. So they should be, thanking me. When you sin, you always give yourself excuse, right? I was like that. And so I said to them, I feel so bad, and it's like the end of the world. When you are murder, doing life sentence, fighting is, often sin. But if you see blood, so minimum, you can add 5 years on the top, all right? And then, so it was like the end of the world to me, and I don't want to think about anything, but somehow I pick up a tape. I pick up a tape and listen, and it was a singer, I mean, she was, she won the European contest, and then she gave up her career and go into do prison ministries, and go to prisons and give, tracts to them, and give them tapes, free tapes, and I got one of them. I listened to it before, good songs, but that night, I pick up and I listened to it for some reason. It was like something speaking to me, going through my head, and the strange thing was I felt so happy. I feel so joyful. And I thought myself, well, are you like, getting nuts because, something happened, you're scared or something, And the only expression I tell you, it was like, I was like in heaven. But I was in the punishment block. But the feeling was like in heaven. But that wasn't happen in one moment. 10 days. Every time I pick up that tape, only that tape, all others doesn't work, right? Only that 10 days. And I just feel like I was in heaven. And then a pastor came to visit me. I said, Pastor, I want to tell you something. I said, well, this thing's happened. I said, am I going crazy? Am I nutty? I said, no. Wow, you've been touched by the Spirit. And I said to him, wow, I never taste such drugs like, so high like that, in my life. I try every drugs, And then I wrote a letter to my friend. Now, well, before that, I want to tell you, about the third day or fourth day, and many people asked me to come to Christ before, and I told you about what I think about Christ, and then that moment, for some reason, first time in my life, now people prayed for me, asked me to invite Christ, I followed them, but didn't mean anything. But that time, for once in my life, I invited Jesus to my life, personally. To my Savior. That's my Savior. And I wrote a letter to my friend, George, and he was he was labeled, never get out in prison. He killed two people. And we were good pals, like brothers, and then I wrote a letter to him, and I told him everything about what happened. And at the end, I finished the whole letter. For some reason, I didn't stop. And there was tears coming out, There was tears coming out of my eyes, And then I just said, there are tears coming out of my eyes now. I said, not because I'm scared or afraid or anything. I feel so embarrassed. I feel so bad about the way I treated Jesus. He was so kind to me, and I fall away. And now I'm coming back, I do so many bad things, and he's coming back. He didn't punish me, but he gave me so much love I never had. And then I put down the pens, and I cry like a baby, And it wasn't sad cry. And I don't know why. At that time, I was crying and laughing at the same time. It was so, I couldn't do it again now, But it was that joy inside you, And so, at that moment, when you come to Jesus, you promise God, okay, from now on, I'm a good guy. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to use my anger. I'm not going to sell drugs. I'm not going to smoke drugs. You have a lot of promise to God. And then, I just left that prison to another prison. It's a remand center, because they wouldn't leave me in that prison, because that would be a riot, if I'm there, because my gang's waiting for their gangs. And then, and that was the biggest remand center they sent me to, because they don't know where to send me, and the Home Office decided, okay, send me to the remand center, and they have about 8,000 people there. Remand center is you're not been sentenced, so maximum you may be there for a year, that's it, right? Maybe a few months. But because I spent 12 years in prison, so the qualifications in prison are really, highly, qualified. And then so they came to me and said, well, how should I spend my prison sentence? Where should I go? A lot of life is sentenced to life. They came to me. And then I said, okay, so when they come, they don't come bare hands. They come with prisons, right? Like drugs. No, give it up. No, thank you. The second one, no, I come to Christ. I don't want anymore. The third one come. Oh, okay. I took it that night. That evening, I was holding my cannabis, and I was so hated myself. Why, Peter? You've been through all these things. Many people, even my pastor, never have that experience, and you have. Why are you doing things like that? That moment I realized I'm just a man, and I cannot promise anything. But I heard a lot of testimony, and I believe Jesus can do it. So at that time, I realized, I'm just a man, I couldn't do anything, but God could. So I asked Jesus, I said, would you please do it for me, because I couldn't do it. Now, and I realized one thing, and I said, okay, I want to give up drugs, and I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to be a good person. And I realized that moment is, I didn't want to give up drugs. I didn't want to give up cigarettes. I didn't want to give up my bad things, because I was so enjoyed in them. I only know I should do that. Right? I should and I want. It's two different things. Right? And then so once I realized that, and then in that few months, a lot of things happened. So cut the long story short, that was New Year's Eve, December 31st, 1994. I was holding my last cannabis until now. And that evening, I did not pray to God for some reason, but I spoke to my old friend, the devil, Satan. I said to him, well, okay, brother, I've been with you for many years. But now I'm having a party with you, and then after the party, I will be going to follow Jesus. Goodbye. Happy New Year. And so everybody thought, 1st of January, 1995, Peter suddenly, ding, switch it into a new person. Is that right? No. I did my best. God, helped me in a lot of ways, but there were temptations. And there was once, I wanted drugs so hard, it's so bad, and I went to, try to get drugs. Lots of people know me. I could get anything I want. But when I went to the staff, I thought, wow, Peter, what are you doing? And I'm scared. I went back, to the room and locked myself in there. But by the grace of God, I got released in 1997. That was a miracle anyway, and so hopefully one day, I get my testimony into English, and so you can, actually I supposed to be work on one last year, so I'm still thinking of it now, And then, so next page, see this face of his? Now, going back to the last page. Going back to the last page. Yeah, that's right. You see this guy? His look? Okay, next one, please. Is it change, difference? All right? So I said about that things about SK2, it's not joking. Yeah. And then in 1997, I went back to Hong Kong. I got married. That's my wife. Next page. Yeah. Next page, please. Yeah, that's my wife. And that was in the year of 2000. She's a little bit out of shape now. But I'm still loving her. All right. Yeah, marriage is like that. Yeah. Okay. And next page. Yeah. That's my kids. My son is now as tall as me now, actually. And so the next page. Yeah, that's my church called Grace Bridge, in Hong Kong, because, God so loved the world, but nowadays we dig a hole and we build a wall, and people cannot go to receive God's grace. We have a lot of rules and regulations, so we are just like a bridge, so hopefully people can go in there, to receive God's grace, And in our church, we have a lot of stones. Next page, next page, please, Yeah, we have a lot of stones, even the cross, that signifies, is every one of us in the church, we are cornerstones. We work for God, okay? Not only pastors, all of us, And we are different. And I choose all these dirty stones, bad stones, broken stones, to make this cross, to signify us, because we all sinners. And I have those stones, below, on the altar to remind people the story I just told you about a woman. Who am I to judge people? I'm just giving grace to people all the time, and pastors and my congregation often ask me, well, what happened if they don't mean it? They abuse that love. And I say, well, don't worry. If you give them that grace, the heart is not right. Do you think God will let them to go into prison because you baptized them? No. But on the other hand, if their heart is right and you refused them, well, you tie a stone on your neck and you jump into the river. Because I killed a physical body and you just killed a spiritual body. Right? So we need to think about it, And, okay, next, And so I'm in Malaysia, and I'm working in the church, giving testimony, preaching, and as a media, a presenter, and I'm working with the rich, and the poor. I don't care what you are, right? In my church, criminals, prostitutes, still working, right? If you tell them, quit your job. Oh, God doesn't like that. Well, are you going to feed them? Right? We go, you see my testimony. I go from there, I spent many years, step by step. Right? And we have homosexual, right? Anyone. I believe everyone should entitled to have a chair in the church. Them and God, they touch each other. It's not our business, right? Don't worry about when they're going to change. You leave it to God. And Jesus said, not everyone call me law can go to heaven. Well, you let them decide by themselves, because, Jesus will come again, to judge the living and the dead, right? Right, okay, next page, please. And I also working with this is all in Malaysia, actually. The rural church, the old people's home, and aboriginals and drug rehabs and anything you can think of, and I try to get my hands on it. And also, to come to this day now, next page, please. And for the last 7 years, many people interview me and reported, and even there's magazines, one magazines in Hong Kong, they only slacking people off, but they interview our church, And so now I have my book, in Chinese, I have next page. They even make a movie about me, it's in Chinese, but they have English subtitles. So hopefully, February, I can bring it here, and then so if we have evangelism or something, we can show that film, and so next page, That is God's grace, and in my life, but I'm still an ordinary person. Next page. I want to tell you, if you having nothing, it's like the brother just early on give a testimony. Where are you? Where's the brother? Okay, when we are nothing, we can be humble, right? But when you become something, it's difficult. For the last so many years, every day I'm fighting. Everywhere I go, people go, "Oh, Pastor, you're great! Wow!" That movie stars, Angela Chan, she said to my wife 2 weeks ago, in Hong Kong, and she said, "Oh, your husband, came to Malaysia. We have a sister group, and all the sisters, like that, listen to him. Wow. And then so every day, I'm fighting my own ego, right? It's hard to be humble. Same as us, we are Christians. Okay, next page. right? In the church, we are sheep. We are what kind of sheep you are? You're the Lamb of God. We are lambs. He's our God. You are sheep. You are lambs. You are right. I want to ask you. What kind of sheep you are? Have you ever heard of phrase? You are sheep wearing wolf clothing, like this one. Right? But you know something? That can be us. Next one. Yeah. Maybe we are sheep. We brought up in the Christian family. When things happen in the church, we argue. At home, especially husband and wives, right? Mother and sons, father and daughter. At work, in the church, when we argue, forget about Christians. What we do? Next. We put out wolf clothing, tiger's clothing, lion's clothing. Yeah, that's us. Right? That's our weakness. Right? And then, if you are a sheep, a lamb, right? So does that mean you're good? But I want to remind you, brothers and sisters, if you are sheep, like that. Next one. Well, you really need to think about it. All right? Yeah. Sometimes you look at ourselves, people. How can God's kingdom, boom, come down here? When people look at us and think, wow, you're Christians. Wow, you're so nice. I want to know your God. I want to come to your church. Or, you Christians, I don't want to know your God. Wherever you go, the place feels like what? Heaven or hell? Yeah. Next page, please. Everyone, the toughest man on earth, right? The toughest man on earth. Okay, next page. Next page, yeah. It's here, you just choose one, and anyone. Okay? I forgot to put Trump's in there, because, that was... What? Oh, yeah, sorry, okay. Yeah, I didn't even know I put him there. And then, so, all the toughest men and women in prison, in the world. Next page. We have the moment of weakness, right? So I often tell people, well, okay, the pastors, in the church supposed to be the toughest, but I'm telling you, he's just a weak man. So next time when you have time, walk past, buy him a cup of coffee and a little cupcakes, and say, Pastor, all right, look after him, all right? And here is the pictures. Last year, this year, early this year, next one, please. And we have evangelism, a big evangelism. We hire a hall, can sit about 2,000 people, and a stadium, a stage, And this is the photo of the ticket, I tell you, I like this photo very much. Because why? It shows my true face. You look at the good face of mine, right? That's not me. That's Jesus. Because all these years, I follow his way. I learn to be him. But when the moment I forget about God, forget about Jesus, then you see the true side of me. That's that one. My wife asked me many years ago, she said, Peter, when you see the most sexiest, gorgeous man, a gorgeous woman, on the street, what would you, So I said, what do you think? Of course I would. I'm a man. When I walk around the street, I see a lot of money. I'm not going to pick it up. I'm not going to take it. It's not because I'm great. It's because that money is not worth for me to sin. Well, you try to give me something better. I often tell a brother and sister in the church, are you so righteous that you don't sin, or you don't have a chance to sin? We need to think about it. Yeah. And, okay, next. Jesus said, I'm the light of the world. Yeah. It doesn't mean you come to Jesus and then you live in the light. There's always darkness around. And remember, His grace is enough for every one of us. Yeah. And if you are bad guys, if you are like this picture, if you like next, if you are wolf wearing a sheep clothing, no problem. Learn, take your time, and then later on you look more handsome, like the next one. All right, yeah, and then carry on to learn, more about Jesus. To love other people, let them hit your left and let them hit your right. And then you will be more like the next one. All right, yeah. And brothers and sisters, I want to tell you, why do you come to church? Next, please. Okay, we receive grace, the grace of God, so we can have life transforming. Brother and sister, I want to ask you, what have you done in the past? What have you done in the past worse than me? Okay? Even I'm standing in front of you today, I'm not perfect. I'm just a sinner. I'm not just so having a good manners. I'm a sinner. I'm telling you, I am a sinner. You never know what my head's been thinking. Okay? I can't be as bad as I was. It's not that I could not sin, it's I choose not to sin. Brother and sister, what have you done that God cannot forgive your sin? A lot of people, they come to church, they worry so much. If I come to Jesus, so I got to do this and I got to do that, and I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. But brother and sister, don't lead them to that way. Just let them. It's like offerings. We decide we want to come to church early. We decide, we want to not argue with people or anything. That's an offering between them and God. You just do your part so they can see Jesus in your life. And they can follow, not you, but Jesus. Right? We learn to walk with sinners like Jesus did 2,000 years ago with a bunch of, so-called disciples. But what do you call those men? Pull the knife and chop someone else's ears off. 3 years with Jesus. When Jesus got arrested, all ran away. I don't know him. Who is he? That's us. I believe this is not coincidence. God is calling you. Grace is here. Yeah. I'm asking you, if whoever have not believed in Christ, all you need to do is just raise your hand and say, I want to come to you. I saw a lot of kids here, You're born, you learn to walk. Wow. Have a lot of efforts. Then you go to kindergarten. And then you go to primary school and senior school, and you go to university, and you find a job. Wow, the process is so painful, And then you got married. And you have a mortgage. And then you have children, and you raise your kid. And then all over again. So I want to ask you, brother and sister, when you die, what have you got? You got nothing. My father was a rich man. He died. He got nothing. But, praise God, he got Jesus at the end. And I believe Jesus come to you today. You don't need to pay him for this insurance. All you need to do is say, I accept you as my Lord, my God, my Savior. And then this insurance is yours.